So I think that's exciting. And then a whole bunch of people were like, I can't believe you're endorsing this scam project and blah, 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 blah. And is this going to make me rich or is this not going to make me rich? And I was sort of like, well, it's besides the point. It might, but it's besides the point. It's more like this is what the next Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebooks are going to look like. In either 1 or 10 years, I'm not sure. And in BitClout or the next thing, I'm not sure, but I'm going to play with this one and I'm going to like give it a ride so that when the right one does arrive, whether it's this one or the next one, I know what I'm looking at. I know what's real and what's not. And that's why I recommended people go play with it just to see, just to be on the forefront of it.
Something like it needs to exist, right? Whether it'll be the one or not, I don't know. And so I've been spending a fair amount of calories trying to kind of understand the mechanics of BitClout itself. And
how much money did you
number 3 on the top creators list? So I've been kind of moving up the curve, so to speak.
I love it.
Yeah,
dude. The thing about how much have you put into BitClout?
It's got to be $1 million, give or take.
$1 million, yeah.
The thing that pissed me off about BitClout was I got into this like I didn't get into it because I had to. I knew I was going to get into this thing I'm about to say, but I wanted to get into a pissing match real fast about building clout, and because there was money on the line, and I was like, oh, I don't actually want to get in this race. I don't want to play that game, and I kind of had a little like one part of me is I actually fundamentally agree with most everything you're saying. On the other part, I'm like, oh, if this exists, I'm going to be getting in a lot of like pissing matches or whatever, and I'm going to be playing more games, and that kind of freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah, and this is one of the issues with BitClout right now, right? You have a bunch of like founder rewards games and things like that, and this is what happens. This is why we can't have nice things, partly, right? It's like anytime something new comes along, there will be people that are trying to game the system, whatever. So even back in the early days of Google, it's like the internet wasn't a scam and Google wasn't a scam, but there were a bunch of people trying to scam Google to kind of show up in the results and doing kind of spammy SEO kind of stuff. You see the same thing on BitClout, right? And you have to sort of kind of separate that from the platform. It's like, okay, fundamentally, the idea does not feel like a scam to me. Yes, they needed to open it up and have it listed on exchange so you could actually take money out, minor details, but they're fixing those. And I talked to the founder, like in like one of the few calls I've had in the last 12 months because I don't do phone calls. But it feels legit to me. And that's not to say it's going to succeed, but I'm relatively confident it's not a scam. Mm-hmm. That is reason for being is not a scam.
So one of the things that happens with like a Google or a Facebook is, like you said, there's a big honeypot either of users or money on the line. And so then you get good people excited about it. You get technology excited about it, but you also get the sort of scammers, and not even scammers, but I'll call them schemers. People who are not doing anything illegal, but they're thinking, oh, this is a game. How do I play it so that I get the highest score? And the score is either money or followers or whatever they're trying to game. Yep. And whether this is like, BuzzFeed and Upworthy saying, oh, newsfeed, how do I game newsfeed to get all this monthly traffic? Or, Zynga doing this with games on Facebook or whatever. With a company, you sort of have the for as much as people hate that Facebook and Google can sort of censor and pull the rug out from under you, they are able to swat down these schemers and scammers so that they don't ruin the experience for everybody. Sure. And one thing that's interesting with decentralized platforms is that there's no CEO, there's nobody in charge to do that. And so I think it's gonna be very interesting how that plays out. Do you have a sense of if that's going to be a problem, or do you think that there's a solution to that with the governance?
I'm a believer in kind of self-governance over time. And it all depends on the time horizon. Will it fix itself in a year or 2 years? Maybe not. I think there's still going to be these kind of dark parts of BitClout that people don't want to tread into. But over time, I think once BitClout kind of figures out what it wants to be when it grows up, in terms of like what's the actual right now, the way I think of it is like the kind of Twitter use case is just a way to kind of prove out the protocol. It just so happens they picked that one. They could have picked any number of other ones. But as people kind of build real things using that underlying kind of technology, because it's an open protocol, I think things will settle down. People will find a way that they can implement use cases that concretely solve a particular problem and stay away from some of the kind of dark issues right now, which is,
what's the name that you bought?
For Sean?
You said you bought a 7-figure domain name for this idea.
I have one I'm in the midst of negotiating the price on it, so I'm not going to reveal it. I don't want to be outbid.
How many letters is it?
7.
Okay. I'll be very